California, in Orange County. Yeah, I grew up in Huntington Beach, which sounds nice, but I shared with you my childhood. Yeah, so for me it was families from Huntington Beach, but my mom, I get my stubbornness from my mom and my grandma. And I don't know if it's because of the Dutch aspect, but she wanted to make her own way. And so she didn't want to stay with grandma. So it was like, we go from place to place to place to place to place, up until I was 10. Motels, hotels, just everywhere. And then different boyfriends, some of which I remember, some of which I don't at all, some of which were abusive, some of which were really cool. But yeah, so she ended up passing away when I was 10, and then went to, then I stayed with my grandma in Huntington Beach. It's where I did most of my growing up, and then ditching school most of the time. From junior high on, it was like mostly ditching school. My grandma, total Mexican, just beating me with shoes and whatever she could, because she's like, I don't know what to do. Yeah, so yeah, anyway, ended up staying there, meeting my wife while we were in church when I was like 22 or something like that. And then from there, moved to Buena Park, and we were just having so many kids that a small house was not gonna work, and I wanted to go to the country anyway, you know.
Had you already started your business at that point?
I did. So I started my business I started doing stuff in like 2007. I was deployed I was in the Army Reserves as an intelligence analyst. I was deployed 2008 to 2009 to Kuwait to help support Iraq, the Iraqi freedom. And while I was there, the thing about the freaking military, there's some great things about it. Some of it's like, but one of the things that really just I absolutely hated, was that, you know, I was an E6, which is semi high up in enlisted, staff sergeant, but I had lieutenant colonels that I was under that were just the most freaking, they were retards. I mean, and I'm just like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. And you couldn't do anything about it. And I'm there for a year and a half with them, you know? And I'm like, I never want to be put in this situation ever again, ever. Because, you know, I joined for money, I joined for college, I joined for all that other stuff, and now I'm trapped a year. I have a year and a half, I can't see my wife and kid, one kid at the time. I get back and I'm like, I'm going full throttle into my own business. In 2010, she was able to leave her job. We both worked at Boeing. She was able to leave her job.
Boeing is a
like aerospace company.
Okay.
It's like Lockheed Martin or Raytheon or whatever, which is big down there. And so she was able to leave her job, which everyone around us was like, you're crazy, you can't live off of one income, you're nuts, why do you want to be a stay-at-home mom, yada, yada, yada. I found that when everyone's saying do it this way, if you go the other way, it's way better all the time. It's harder, but it's going to be way better. So anyway, 2010, she leaves her job. I have all this pressure on me. I need to figure out how to make things happen. So I'm working. Have you heard of Gary Vaynerchuk? Okay. Gary Vaynerchuk, he's an entrepreneur guy. He wrote a book called Crush It. And it's all about hustle, 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 hustle. So I read that book, and I'm working literally from 7 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock at night every day on my business, putting out content, all this other stuff. And I'm killing myself. And from 2009 basically till 2014, I'm just totally just burning out. But in 2014, I was able to leave my job. So she left. Finally, I was able to leave. October 1st was my freedom day, 2014, and that was that. I was at the time. I was because everything's about doing. You never will, as long as you're doing something, you'll never expect where it's gonna go, dude, ever. I went in as an IT guy. That was my side business, IT. From IT to building web pages, from building web pages to helping my cousin market his Amazon. He was selling on Amazon, so I was teaching how to do that. It's helping him to teach online how to do that. To that eventually was what helped me to get out. And then from there, started drop shipping. Was doing like $2 million a year drop shipping on Amazon, which everyone else was like, you can't do that, and Amazon doesn't let you, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, watch me. I do it. I find out that Amazon's totally cool with all of that. Once again, don't listen to everybody. Do your own thing. Create a course on how to do it, make a lot of money off the course. And then I start, through learning how to outsource, now I'm doing what I'm doing now. So yeah, from poor kid in Huntington Beach, that quote unquote, we're like in Garden Grove and Stanton and all these other places, to here in Prairie, California, making lots of babies and lots of money and just enjoying life. It's a pretty wild ride, man.
What do you like about being out here?
That's a good question, man. What do I like about being out here? I think being out here is reflective of how society works right now, and how, like, being out here, you're escaping the matrix. Like, people think, even with me, all the money that I make doing what I do, like, really, how valuable is it? It's worth it. If you look at the paper, it's not even paper anymore. Most of it's just digits on a screen, right? It's not even paper anymore. It's virtually worthless. Like, the actual physical thing, it's not gold, it's not silver, it's not anything. It's literally, the dollars themselves are like worth less than a penny. If you would, a $100 bill is in fact worth less than a penny to create, right? And that's the way the city out there is. It looks really good. And there's so much you can do out there. But in the big scheme of things, here in the country, things are so much more valuable. So I can take those worthless pieces of paper, I can go buy rubber garden hoses, which, you know, last year, actually even 2 years ago, even last year, when the beer bug hit, you could barely find rubber hoses, you know. That rubber hose I can use to hook up to my well, to then, just by using that worthless money, I can go to my garden and put water in that garden that has seeds in it, and I literally have food for the rest of my life. That's valuable. If I give you one of my peppers from my garden, that has value. It has even more value if you're hungry, like really hungry, right? Here in the city, the stores, the entertainment, all that stuff, it's nice. It's valuable in the sense that it's convenient. It's all there for you. But when all's said and done, you don't really own anything of value. If Walmart, or if all those stores are not shipping stuff, you literally have nothing. You don't have your garden. Generally, you're not going to have a garden in your backyard. Do you have a garden in your backyard? No. Okay. Most people won't, especially if you're an apartment, you ain't going to have anything, right? So I love out here when the beer bug hit and everyone's like, oh, we're on lockdown. And here I'm like, we've been in quarantine for 6 years, 6 years. This is nothing. I walk out of my house, I go to my garden, I get my watermelons, my peppers, I go to get my eggs from the chicken coop. If I want to go for a walk, I go down to the very bottom to the creek where we have like a wild fig tree that I can pick figs off of and eat. Creek down there. I've been in quarantine for a long time, and this is a pretty nice quarantine. I'm basically free to go anywhere I want. We can go over to the people here are, when that all hit, it was like normal. Like most of the things were normal here, most of it, not everything. But I know everyone at the local store here. So when they're like, hey, you need to put on a mask, you know that, I'm like, dude, no. No. Are you gonna kick me out? I know where you live. I see you at church. What are you gonna do? And then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I can go get my milk and whatever from the store. So that is why I love living out here. It's because it's freedom. Living in the country shows you what's really, really valuable. You know, there, it's nice. It's super convenient. The best of both worlds would be you have a country home and you have a place over there. But in reality, they shut off your electricity over there. They stop sending food over there. You're effed.
Yeah.
So that's why I love living in the country. It's just like with anything else. All the schooling, illusion of security, all of that's illusion of freedom. This is freedom. If crap hit the fan, I can make my own food. I can have my own goats. I can have my own cows. That's where real value. And then family and community. I am more. When I was in Buena Park, we were on a cul-de-sac. And tell me if this is the way it is where Mexicans are different, especially if you're in a Mexican community. You're normally going to have much more relationships with people around you. But where I was, it was a wide range. I knew the neighbor next to me. Out of the 30 that were in my little cul-de-sac, I knew maybe 5 of the neighbors. Here, I know the neighbor down the road, Jim, who's basically like 3/4 of a mile away. I know Ryan. I know Patrick. I know Firebear, who's way up there. I know the Mendozas. I know Bonnie. I know Heath. I know literally, I know 10 times the neighbors. I can't even see them. 10 times the space. And each one of those neighbors would drop everything to help me. And I would do the same. Like we had a power outage go out, and I have these mobile batteries. All of these sheds that you see are all off grid, and they have batteries. Power outage goes out. I call up my neighbors up there whose fridge is starting to like thaw. Come grab a battery. They come grab a battery. Boom. That battery powers their house, most of their stuff for 2 days. Then our kids need a ride to go to dance. They come and take our kids to ride to dance. It's just this boop, 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 boop. Value. So valuable, so free. And that's the way real life is. City is just like money. It's convenient, but it's really worthless. Here, it's not convenient at all, but it's very, very valuable.